Right now, you feel small. You feel powerless. You feel like everyone else is moving forward while you're stuck, doubting yourself. But here's the truth. Confidence isn't a trait you're born with. It's a skill you can build today with simple, daily actions that train your mind, break your fear, and make self-doubt powerless. If you're willing to do what most won't, you can go from weak to unstoppable. And this audiobook will show you exactly how. Chapter 1. Stop proving and start doing. You feel the need to prove yourself. You feel it in every decision. You measure your worth by what others see. You measure your value by their approval. Stop. This ends now. Your self-worth is not granted by anyone outside of you. It is not borrowed. It is not conditional. That is the first rule. You have a choice. You can wait for approval, or you can act. That is the key. Every second you spend seeking permission, you surrender your power. Every second you wait for validation, you give your life to someone else's judgment. Do not mistake patience for wisdom. Do not mistake consideration for weakness. The first principle is this. Confidence is built in action, not in consent. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You don't need their agreement. You need discipline. Look at the world's most successful people. Athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders. They do not wait. They do not ask. They act first. They fail first. They learn first. They grow first. And in that sequence, they win. It is simple, not easy. Simple. Action beats approval. Action beats approval. Action beats approval. Repeat it. Let it settle in your mind. Let it govern your choices. Your actions create your identity. Your actions define your capability. Your actions shape your life, not your intentions, not your plans, not your explanations. Actions are the currency of competence. The first system to implement is this. Do one meaningful action today that moves you forward, independent of anyone's judgment. Make it measurable. Make it visible to yourself. Measure it against your standards, not theirs. That is the rule. Now, examine your patterns. How often do you delay? How often do you preface your efforts with I hope or I think? Stop. That is hesitation. That is reliance on external validation. That is weakness. Discipline yourself to act without these preconditions. You have a choice. Wait for approval or proceed with intent. Choose the latter. That is the key. Start small if you must. Send the message. Make the call. Begin the draft. Speak your idea. Do the work. Begin. The size of the action does not matter. The consistency does. Action breeds confidence. Action teaches your mind that you are capable. Action breaks the illusion that permission is required. Remember this. Action is the antidote to doubt. Repeat it. Action is the antidote to doubt. Action is the antidote to doubt. Consider the entrepreneur who launches a project nobody asked for. The athlete who steps onto the field before they feel ready. They do not wait. They do not negotiate with uncertainty. They act. They test. They learn. Their confidence is a consequence of doing. That is the principle. You can replicate it. You can design it. You can systematize it. The system is simple. Identify one action that moves you toward competence. Complete it immediately. Measure the outcome. Adjust and repeat. There is no debate. There is no negotiation. You have a choice. You act or you do not. That is the first commandment of confidence. You do not need their permission. You do not need their approval. You need discipline. You need execution. You need to train yourself to act before approval exists. Now, consider the trap of proving yourself. You show work. You wait for compliments. You hope for validation. You argue for recognition. Every second spent here is energy wasted. Every second spent proving yourself is a second of potential action lost. Stop proving. Start doing. That is the rule. That is the system. That is the principle. Action beats approval. Action beats approval. Action beats approval. Let it govern your day. Let it govern your habits. Let it govern your life. You will fail when you act. You will make mistakes. You will be criticized. That is inevitable. Do not negotiate with failure. Do not postpone action to avoid discomfort. That is weakness disguised as prudence. Strength is developed in the arena. Confidence is forged in the doing. The mind adapts to effort. The mind strengthens with repetition. The mind obeys commands it is given consistently. That is the system. Act, fail, adjust, repeat. Action beats approval. Action beats approval. Action beats approval. To implement this, create a daily action plan. Each morning, write one action that you will complete, independent of anyone else's opinion. Complete it. Evaluate it. Improve it tomorrow. Repeat daily. That is how confidence compounds. That is how doubt is reduced. That is how you stop proving and start doing. Discipline is not optional. Execution is not negotiable. You have a choice. You act or you shrink. That is the key. Finally, internalize this. Your competence is built by your actions, not by their acknowledgement. The only permission you need exists within your decision to move. The only approval that matters is your own assessment of effort and completion. That is the system. That is the truth. You have a choice. You have a choice. You have a choice. Every morning, decide to act. Every evening, review what you have done. Every day, repeat the cycle. You do not need their permission. You do not need their validation. You only need to execute. That is the command. That is the structure. That is the philosophy. In conclusion, stop proving yourself to others. Stop negotiating your confidence with their approval. Begin doing. Begin now. Build a system of action. Make it repeatable. Make it measurable. Make it unarguable. Train yourself to act first. Train yourself to move without permission. Train yourself to trust your effort over their judgment. That is the first chapter. That is the first rule. That is the foundation. Action beats approval. Action beats approval. Action beats approval. Next, you will learn the hidden cost of seeking validation and why it silently erodes every ounce of confidence you try to build. The lesson builds directly on this chapter. You have started doing. Now you will see why stopping the chase for approval is essential. Chapter 2. The silent cost of seeking validation. You chase approval. You look for recognition. You wait for someone to tell you that you are enough. Stop. This is a trap. Every time you seek permission, you surrender your energy. Every time you hope for validation, you dilute your focus. Approval is borrowed power. Your power is yours. Repeat it. Say it aloud if necessary. Approval is borrowed power. Your power is yours. Consider the hours you spend scrolling. Social media, messages, likes, comments. Every glance at a screen is a glance away from yourself. Every comparison steals your attention. Every measure of your worth against another's life shrinks your confidence. That is the hidden cost. It is silent. You do not notice it until you measure your results. The hours lost, the effort diluted, the progress deferred. You have a choice. You can surrender your energy to others, or you can reclaim it. That is the key. Look at the people who succeed. Not the loudest voices. Not the ones who seek approval publicly. The ones who act in silence. The ones who measure their progress against internal standards. They do not wait for applause. They do not check for permission. They execute. They measure. They adjust. Their confidence grows because it is self-sourced. That is the rule. Confidence built on external validation is temporary. Confidence built on internal consistency is permanent. Approval is borrowed power. Your power is yours. Repeat it. Now examine your patterns. Do you post for praise? Do you share for recognition? Do you seek comments to justify your effort? Stop. That is wasted energy. That is your attention stolen. That is your potential shrunk. Discipline requires that you stop seeking validation. Discipline requires that you build systems that generate self-confidence independent of others. That is the command. That is the foundation. Here is the system you will implement today. Audit your attention. Track where you seek approval. Social media, conversations, even emails. Identify the triggers. Set limits. Define strict times when you check external feedback. Otherwise, remove the option. Control access. Control attention. Replace with self-assessment. Measure your work by effort, completion, and quality. Do not ask for validation. Do not wait for praise. Judge by your standards. Every day, repeat this process. You will feel discomfort. You will feel the urge to check, to compare, to seek approval. That is natural. That is the resistance. You act anyway. You repeat anyway. You train your mind to source confidence internally. Approval is borrowed power. Your power is yours. Repeat it. Let it guide every decision. Let it govern every habit. Consider the person who posts updates to social media for likes. They measure their worth by numbers. Each notification is a verdict. Each comment is feedback. Every like inflates or deflates their self-esteem. They live a borrowed life. They live a borrowed power. Contrast this with the person who does the work quietly, measures it against internal standards, and moves forward. One life fluctuates with the approval of strangers. The other life grows steadily, disciplined, unshakable. You have a choice. You act or you're acted upon. That is the key. Next, reflect on conversations. How often do you shape your words to gain approval? How often do you adjust opinions to avoid criticism? Every adjustment weakens self-belief. Every concession erodes mental strength. Stop. Speak your truth. Act on your plan. Evaluate the outcome. Improve your approach. That is the system. That is the method. That is the discipline. Approval is borrowed power. Your power is yours. Repeat it. Now, implement the daily practice. Morning reflection. Write one task you will complete today without seeking approval or recognition. Measure success by completion, not by reaction. Midday check-in. Review your actions. Identify moments where you sought validation. Note them. Do not judge. Plan corrective action for tomorrow. Evening audit. List achievements. Focus only on what you controlled. Focus only on what you completed. No external approval, no borrowed power. Own your results. This practice converts attention into authority. This practice converts dependence into independence. This practice converts doubt into discipline. You have a choice. You act or you shrink. You act or you surrender your mental energy. You act or you weaken. That is the rule. That is the system. That is the truth. Remember, seeking approval is a silent thief. It does not announce itself. It does not demand confrontation. It steals in seconds. Every glance, every post, every word, every thought filtered for acceptance. Discipline your attention. Reclaim your power. Anchor your self-confidence internally. Do not outsource it. Approval is borrowed power. Your power is yours. Repeat it. Let it govern your day. Let it govern your decisions. Let it govern your life. You will feel resistance. You will feel discomfort. You will feel fear. That is normal. That is part of training. That is part of growth. You do not negotiate with discomfort. You do not postpone action. You repeat. You repeat. You repeat. Approval is borrowed power. Your power is yours. Repeat it. Finally, internalize this principle. Every moment you stop seeking validation is a moment you reclaim strength. Every moment you measure your progress internally is a moment you expand competence. Every moment you act independently is a moment you train confidence. That is the system. That is the method. That is the rule. You have a choice. You have a choice. You have a choice. In conclusion, the silent cost of seeking validation is real. It drains energy. It shrinks confidence. It steals potential. Stop seeking approval. Audit your attention. Implement strict limits. Measure your work internally. Act independently. Reclaim your power. Build self-confidence that cannot be borrowed. Approval is borrowed power. Your power is yours. Repeat it. Next, you will learn how small, repeated habits compound in a massive, unshakable confidence. This builds directly on the principle you just applied. Stop chasing external validation and begin growing your internal authority. That is the next step. You have started reclaiming your power. Now you will systemize it. Chapter 3: Small Habits, Massive Confidence. Confidence is not spontaneous. It does not appear by chance. It is built. It is accumulated. It compounds over time, like interest in a bank account. Every small action adds to your balance. Every repetition increases your capacity. That is the first principle. You have a choice. You could do nothing and remain weak, or you can do the work and grow stronger. That is the key. Start with small actions, morning rituals, micro achievements, journaling. These are not trivial. They are not optional. They are the foundation. They are the training ground for the mind. Each deliberate action signals competence to your brain. Each completed task, no matter how small, reinforces your belief in your ability to execute. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. Let it settle. Let it govern your behavior. Consider the morning ritual. Wake at a fixed time. Make your bed. Move your body. Write down 3 priorities. Complete one immediately. These are not suggestions. These are rules. The brain responds to consistency. The mind internalizes structure. Confidence is produced in the repetition of disciplined action. You have a choice. You follow the ritual, or you surrender your morning to chaos. That is the key. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. Next, micro achievements. Identify tasks that can be completed in a controlled, measurable way. They are small. They are specific. They are achievable. Complete them. Measure them. Record them. The act of completion trains your brain to recognize competence. Completion is not about pride. Completion is about evidence. Evidence of ability. Evidence of discipline. Evidence that you can rely on yourself. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. Journaling is the third tool. Write down your intentions each morning. Reflect on outcomes each evening. Know what was done and what was left undone. Analyze why. Plan corrective action. Journaling forces accountability. Journaling converts vague intentions into measurable results. Journaling transforms thought into action. Journaling trains the mind to be deliberate. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. Now understand the principle. Small habits compound. 1 task per day is not nothing. 10 tasks per week is not nothing. 30 tasks per month is a foundation. 60 tasks per 2 months is a system. A year of daily repetition is mastery. You have a choice. You can ignore the small tasks, or you can commit to them. That is the key. Small habits are the engine. Repetition is the fuel. Discipline is the driver. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. Examine the consequences of neglect. Skipped rituals. Tasks left incomplete. Journals unopened. These are not minor lapses. They are signals to your brain that you are unreliable. They are cracks in the foundation of confidence. Every omission compounds doubt. Every failure to act erodes belief. You have a choice. You act daily, or you erode yourself. That is the key. Now systemize your growth. Morning ritual: wake, move, write, act. Micro achievements: define, complete, record. Journaling: plan, reflect, correct. Make it measurable. Make it repeatable. Make it automatic. Systems replace reliance on motivation. Systems replace reliance on willpower. Systems produce consistent results. Evidence of ability is accumulated daily. Confidence is not given. Confidence is trained. Confidence is earned. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. Consider the person who acts randomly. They start projects sporadically. They rely on bursts of energy. They wait for inspiration. Their confidence fluctuates. It is fragile. Compare this to the person who implements small, repeatable systems. Each day reinforces ability. Each completion builds evidence. Each reflection strengthens judgment. Their confidence is steady. Their competence is visible. Their self-belief is undeniable. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. Do not mistake simplicity for weakness. Morning rituals are not glamorous. Micro-achievements are not impressive. Journaling is not exciting. But these small, repeated actions are stronger than talent, luck, or motivation. They are measurable. They are repeatable. They are reliable. They compound. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. Now, implement your system immediately. Today, define one small habit. Morning or evening. Physical or mental. Complete it. Record it. Repeat tomorrow. Repeat the next day. Do not skip. Do not delay. Systems cannot tolerate exceptions. Systems produce results when executed consistently. Evidence of ability grows each day. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. Finally, reflect. Confidence is not built in grand gestures. Confidence is built in consistent, disciplined action. Confidence is built in systems, not feelings. Confidence is built in repetition, not permission. You have a choice. You follow the system, or you remain vulnerable to doubt. That is the key. You measure your life by the consistency of action. You measure your worth by the evidence you produce. You measure your confidence by the habits you maintain. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. In conclusion, small habits are not small. They are the engine of self-belief. Daily exercises, rituals, micro-achievements, journaling convert intention into competence. They convert hesitation into action. They convert uncertainty into authority. You have a choice. You act daily, or you surrender growth. You act deliberately, or you surrender progress. One small win, repeated daily, becomes unshakable. Repeat it. Anchor it. Own it. That is your system. That is your rule. That is your discipline. Next, you will learn how to master your inner voice, how to control thoughts, how to redirect mental energy to serve your confidence instead of sabotage it. The habits you build today will be strengthened by mastering the mind tomorrow. You have established the foundation. Now you will construct the architecture. Chapter 4. Master your inner voice. Your mind speaks constantly. You hear it in the silence. You hear it in action. You hear it in hesitation. Every thought carries power. Every sentence you tell yourself shapes behavior. Your thoughts are either your ally or your enemy. That is the principle. You have a choice. You can allow the mind to wander, to complain, to doubt. Or you can discipline it, control it, command it. That is the key. Most people surrender to their thoughts. They hear, I can't. They hear, not yet. They hear, I am not enough. And they comply. They allow the mental pattern to dictate action. They allow hesitation to dominate behavior. That is weakness disguised as caution. That is opportunity surrendered. You do not have to obey every thought. You have a choice. You command the mind, or the mind commands you. Your mind obeys your commands, or it destroys you. Repeat it. Consider the phrase, "I can't." How often has it stopped you? How often has it limited effort? How often has it delayed action? Stop saying it. Replace it. Redirect the thought. Replace "I can't" with "I choose to." I can't focus becomes "I choose to focus." I can't start becomes "I choose to start." This is not semantics. This is programming. This is discipline. Every time you redirect, the neural pathway shifts. The brain begins to follow your command. Your mind obeys your commands, or it destroys you. Repeat it. Now, understand the rule. You cannot eliminate all negative thoughts. That is not the goal. The goal is to train the mind to respond to commands, to redirect, to act regardless. You allow the thought to appear. You recognize it. You label it. Then you replace it with deliberate choice. That is the system. That is the discipline. That is the principle. You have a choice. You act or you comply. That is the key. Practice the system immediately. Awareness. Notice the thought. Pause. Identify the exact phrasing. Evaluation. Ask yourself, does this thought serve action? Does it build competence? Does it reinforce confidence? Redirection. If it does not serve, replace it with a command. I choose to, I commit to, I take responsibility. Execution. Act in accordance with a new statement. Measure effort, not emotion. Repeat this process consistently. Your mind will resist. It will try to revert. It will insist you can't. That is expected. That is the resistance. Do not debate it. Do not justify it. Command it. Redirect it. Act. Your mind obeys your commands, or it destroys you. Repeat it. Consider the athlete preparing for competition. Nervous thoughts arise. Self-doubt emerges. Every successful athlete uses internal dialogue to redirect. I choose to perform. I choose to focus. I choose to execute. Their confidence is a consequence of disciplined mental command. Their success is the accumulation of repeated redirection. Their mind obeys their commands or destroys them. That is the rule. Next, apply this to daily life. At work, at home, in study, in practice. Every situation is an opportunity to command your mind. When hesitation appears, respond, I choose to act. When fear appears, respond, I choose to engage. When doubt appears, respond, I choose to persist. Each repetition strengthens neural pathways. Each repetition trains the mind to obey. Each repetition builds unshakable confidence. Your mind obeys your commands, or it destroys you. Repeat it. Now, understand the consequence of neglect. If you ignore internal dialogue, it becomes reactive. It reacts to every trigger. It amplifies every insecurity. It generates fear and indecision. It consumes mental energy. It sabotages action. That is the silent cost. The mind obeys or destroys. You have a choice. Discipline it or suffer. That is the key. To systemize mastery over your inner voice, implement this daily routine. Morning check. Identify potential challenges. Note likely doubts. Preempt them with commands. I choose to focus. I choose to execute. I choose to learn. During action, pause at every sign of hesitation. Redirect immediately. Speak the command aloud or mentally. Reinforce consistency. Evening review. Identify moments where you obeyed limiting thoughts. Identify moments where you commanded effectively. Record the difference. Plan corrective adjustments for tomorrow. This is a repeatable, measurable system. Evidence accumulates. Confidence builds. The mind learns to obey. Neural pathways strengthen. Each command becomes faster, more automatic, more reliable. Your mind becomes an instrument of execution, not sabotage. Your mind obeys your commands, or it destroys you. Repeat it. Consider the person who allows thoughts to dominate. Every doubt is obeyed. Every fear is magnified. Every hesitation is justified. Their confidence is fragile. Their action is inconsistent. Their competence is limited. Compare this to the person who disciplines inner dialogue. Thoughts are acknowledged, redirected, acted upon. Confidence is reinforced daily. Action is predictable. Competence grows steadily. Your mind obeys your commands, or it destroys you. Repeat it. Do not mistake this as soft advice. This is strict training. This is non-negotiable. Thoughts are inevitable. Control over thoughts is mandatory. You have a choice. You act with discipline, or you're destroyed by indecision. That is the principle. That is the rule. That is the system. Your mind obeys your commands, or it destroys you. Repeat it. Finally, internalize this. The inner voice is your command center. You decide what it says. You decide how it directs action. You decide whether it builds you or breaks you. Small habitual redirections lead to massive cumulative confidence. The mind follows practice, repetition, and command. You have a choice. Discipline it, or it destroys you. That is the key. One thought disciplined, repeated daily, becomes unstoppable. Your mind obeys your commands, or it destroys you. Repeat it. In conclusion, mastery of the inner voice is not optional. It is foundational. It converts hesitation into action. It converts fear into competence. It converts doubt into unshakable confidence. You have a choice. You acknowledge the thought, redirect it, and act. You measure results internally. You repeat consistently. One disciplined thought, executed daily, compounds into authority. Your mind obeys your commands, or it destroys you. Repeat it. Anchor it. Own it. That is the system. That is the discipline. That is your rule. Next, you will learn the power of saying no. How setting boundaries strengthens confidence. How protecting your focus is not selfish. How every refusal builds your mental authority. The mind you just disciplined will now operate within a protected, structured space. You have begun the architecture of unshakable self-belief. Chapter 5. The Power of Saying No. Every time you say yes to something meaningless, you say no to your own growth. Every unsolicited demand, every trivial request, every distraction consumes energy and attention that should be yours. Stop agreeing automatically. Stop submitting to convenience. Stop sacrificing your focus. That is the first principle. You have a choice. You can say yes and shrink, or you could say no and grow. That is the key. High performers do not say yes to everything. They do not defer their priorities for the sake of politeness. They protect their attention and their time as fiercely as they protect their physical health. Every meeting they skip, every trivial obligation they decline, every distraction they remove is a declaration. My growth is non-negotiable. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. Consider the cost of constant compliance. Each yes is a small surrender. Each trivial agreement diverts energy. Each concession erodes mental clarity. Every day, repeated yes accumulate into lost time, lost opportunity, and lost competence. That is the silent drain. That is the hidden tax on your confidence. You have a choice. You act to preserve your focus, or you allow it to be stolen. That is the key. The power of no is not rudeness. It is not avoidance. It is not avoidance of responsibility. It is deliberate allocation of resources. Your attention is finite. Your energy is finite. Your cognitive bandwidth is finite. Every yes to the inconsequential is a no to progress. That is the principle. That is the rule. That is the system. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. Implement a system immediately. Begin with a daily audit. For every request or opportunity, ask, does this serve my primary goal? Does this contribute to competence or growth? Will this advance my deliberate actions toward unshakable confidence? If the answer is no, respond with a disciplined refusal. Do not negotiate internally. Do not rationalize externally. Act decisively. Protect your time. Protect your energy. Protect your focus. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. Consider the entrepreneur who protects their schedule. Every unscheduled meeting is a risk to execution. Every distraction is a risk to momentum. They structure their day around high-value tasks. They decline everything that does not advance measurable outcomes. That is not arrogance. That is discipline. That is authority. That is confidence in practice. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. Now, understand the principle. Saying no is not negative. It is constructive. It creates space. It allows energy to flow toward priorities. It generates freedom to act deliberately. It increases capacity. It reinforces self-command. No is not denial. No is allocation. No is power. You have a choice. You allocate deliberately or you surrender authority. That is the key. Next, implement a daily practice. Begin with small refusals. Decline a meeting that adds no value. Refuse an obligation that consumes time without growth. Interrupt habitual yes patterns. Each refusal is training. Each refusal strengthens your mental boundary. Each refusal compounds into confidence. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. Expand the system to larger areas. Control your attention online. Limit social media. Decline invitations that distract from meaningful effort. Protect time blocks for deliberate practice. Protect mornings for structured action. Protect evenings for reflection and journaling. These are not privileges. They are rules. They're disciplines. They're systems. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. Consider the cost of neglect. The person who says yes indiscriminately becomes fragmented. Their attention is scattered. Their progress is slow. Their competence is diluted. Their confidence is fragile. They live as reactive participants. They respond to demands, not intentions. They measure their worth externally. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. To systemize mastery of no. Daily audit. Track every yes that is not essential. Identify patterns of compromise. Immediate evaluation. For each incoming request, measure value against your primary goals. Deliberate refusal. If the request does not serve measurable growth, say no decisively. Reflection. At day's end, review all refusals. Note how much time and focus were reclaimed. Reinforce the habit. This process converts reactive behavior into deliberate authority. It converts distraction into control. It converts obligation into freedom. No is a tool. No is a system. No is discipline. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. Remember, saying no does not eliminate responsibility. It redirects responsibility. It redirects focus. It redirects energy toward measurable competence. Every refusal is an act of self-preservation. Every refusal is an act of growth. Every refusal trains the mind to prioritize what matters. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. Finally, internalize this. Mastery of no compounds. One refusal leads to clarity. One refusal leads to energy. One refusal leads to deliberate action. Daily practice strengthens the habit. Daily discipline solidifies confidence. Daily execution creates unshakable authority. You have a choice. You say yes and shrink, or you say no and grow. That is the rule. That is the system. That is the truth. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. Anchor it. Own it. In conclusion, the ability to refuse is as critical as the ability to act. Every meaningless yes is a lost opportunity. Every boundary protected is a gain in competence. Every deliberate refusal reinforces confidence. You have a choice. You act, or you surrender your focus. You act decisively, or you dilute your power. You implement systems, or you remain reactive. No builds strength. No builds freedom. No builds confidence. Repeat it. That is your method. That is your discipline. That is your foundation. Next, you will learn the 10-minute courage challenge. You will convert these boundaries into action under pressure. You will transform hesitation into deliberate execution. You have protected your time. Now you will fill it with disciplined courage. Chapter 6. The 10-minute courage challenge. Courage is not a feeling. It is not a moment of inspiration. It is not spontaneous. Courage is trained. It is developed. It is executed deliberately. You have a choice. You can wait for courage to appear, or you can create it. That is the key. Most people believe courage is reserved for extraordinary moments. That is false. Courage exists in small, deliberate acts repeated daily. Each act strengthens the mind. Each act signals competence to the brain. Each act trains confidence. Courage is earned, not discovered. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. Repeat it. Begin with 10 minutes. 10 minutes of focused action outside your comfort zone. Not hours. Not grand gestures. 10 minutes. Start conversations you have avoided. Ask the questions you have delayed. Face the fears you ignore. The goal is consistency, not scale. The principle is this: small, repeated acts of courage compound. One 10-minute effort, repeated daily, becomes unstoppable. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. Consider the professional who avoids difficult conversations. They delay feedback. They postpone confrontation. They rationalize avoidance. 10 minutes a day changes this. Approach one person. Speak directly. Express clearly. Accept discomfort. That 10-minute habit rewires response. Fear is no longer dominant. Courage becomes a reflex. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. Now, examine the principle. The brain responds to repeated exposure. Fear is not eliminated. It is trained. The mind becomes accustomed to action under tension. Small, controlled challenges build resilience. Repetition compounds neural pathways. The result is unshakable confidence in real-world circumstances. That is the system. That is the method. That is the discipline. You have a choice. Act under fear or surrender to hesitation. That is the key. Apply this to social interactions. Speak when you want to remain silent. Express an opinion when you fear disagreement. Initiate a connection when you fear rejection. 10 minutes is sufficient. Focus on action, not outcome. Measure effort, not approval. That is the principle. That is the rule. One 10-minute act, repeated daily, compounds into courage. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. Expand the system to physical or professional risks. Approach tasks you avoid. Take small, calculated risks. Volunteer for responsibility that tests competence. Face fears that have limited progress. Do this for 10 minutes daily. Action without approval. Execution without reassurance. Training without reward. The mind responds. The brain adapts. Confidence grows. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. Consider the athlete before competition. Heart races. Thoughts resist. Fear appears. They act despite discomfort. They rehearse courage daily. They practice micro-challenges until the nervous system obeys. Their action is disciplined. Their confidence is a consequence. That is the principle applied. That is the system replicated. That is the rule enforced. You have a choice. You act, or you obey fear. That is the key. Now, understand the consequence of neglect. Avoidance shrinks capacity. Hesitation becomes habit. Fear accumulates. Opportunities pass unnoticed. Potential remains unrealized. Confidence erodes. The mind interprets inaction as permission to doubt. Courage must be trained daily, consistently, deliberately. 10 minutes is sufficient. Repeat it. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. To implement the 10-minute courage challenge. Identify fear. Choose one small but meaningful act that challenges hesitation. Time it. Set a strict 10-minute window. No negotiation. No postponement. Act deliberately. Execute the task fully. Commit for the duration. Do not seek comfort. Reflect and record. Note discomfort, response, and result. Adjust tomorrow. Repeat daily. Consistency compounds courage. Duration is less important than repetition. This system converts discomfort into competence. It converts hesitation into action. It converts small acts into a habit of courage. 10 minutes daily produces measurable growth. 10 minutes daily rewires response to fear. 10 minutes daily builds confidence that cannot be borrowed. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. Consider real-world examples. The professional who begins difficult conversations daily. The student who speaks despite intimidation. The entrepreneur who pitches ideas despite rejection. 10 minutes. Every day. Repetition compounds. Courage becomes routine. Confidence becomes automatic. Action becomes habitual. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do not mistake small acts for small impact. 10 minutes is training. 10 minutes is repetition. 10 minutes compounds over weeks, months, and years. Daily micro-challenges produce massive results. Fear diminishes. Discipline strengthens. Confidence grows. Courage is trained, not hoped for. One small act repeated daily becomes unstoppable. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. Finally, internalize the principle. Courage is a system. Action under fear is a command. Repetition is the mechanism. Discipline is the structure. The mind obeys repeated commands or it obeys fear. You have a choice. You train courage or you remain dominated by hesitation. That is the key. 10 minutes daily. Start small. Repeat. Commit. Build momentum. Build confidence. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. In conclusion, courage is cultivated, not inherited. 10 minutes of deliberate action outside your comfort zone trains the mind. Daily micro-challenges create neural pathways for confidence and competence. You have a choice. Execute or submit to fear. Act under discomfort or surrender opportunity. Repetition compounds power. Discipline converts fear into strength. Do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared. Anchor it. Own it. That is the system. That is the method. That is your foundation. Next, you will learn how to eliminate the comparison trap. How measuring yourself against others silently destroys confidence. How focus on your own path strengthens unshakable belief. You have begun acting courageously. Now you will focus your mind to defend that courage. Chapter 7. Eliminate the comparison trap. You compare yourself constantly. You check others' progress. You measure worth against achievements you do not own. Stop. Comparison steals focus. Comparison destroys confidence. Every time you measure yourself against someone else, you surrender control. That is the principle. You have a choice. You can follow your path, or you follow theirs. That is the key. Most people live in borrowed metrics, like followers, income, recognition, milestones. They adjust their effort to what others display. They chase the illusion of progress. They lose track of real growth. You do not need this. You do not need external markers to validate ability. Your path, your pace, your power. Repeat it. Let it govern every action. Let it structure your focus. Let it protect your confidence. Consider entrepreneurs who obsessively check metrics. Revenue, engagement, competition. Every glance creates anxiety. Every comparison dictates action. Every day, attention is stolen. Productivity declines. Innovation slows. Growth becomes reactive instead of deliberate. Then consider the entrepreneur who stops. They measure only what they control. They execute daily systems. They focus on effort, not opinion. Their growth accelerates. Their confidence strengthens. Your path, your pace, your power. Repeat it. Understand the principle. Comparison is external judgment. Confidence is internal validation. One relies on fluctuation. The other relies on structure. One is reactive. The other is deliberate. You have a choice. You obey the metrics of others, or you obey your own system. That is the key. Now, implement a system to eliminate comparison. Step 1. Define your core measurements. What matters in your life? What contributes to competence? What advances deliberate action? Record it. Focus exclusively on these measures. Step 2. Restrict exposure to external benchmarks. Limit news feeds, notifications, and performance comparisons that do not serve growth. Step 3. Reflect daily on your progress relative to your own goals. Evidence of ability is internal, measurable, and consistent. Your path, your pace, your power. Repeat it. Consider your mental state. Each comparison triggers self-doubt. Each assessment of others creates distraction. Each reaction to external achievement undermines focus. The mind interprets comparison as need. Need breeds weakness. Weakness erodes confidence. Discipline is required. Focus must be protected. Control must be reclaimed. Your path, your pace, your power. Repeat it. Next, examine small, daily practices. Track progress internally. Celebrate completion, not approval. Review effort, not outcomes dictated by others. Set boundaries. Allocate attention to your systems. Execute consistently. Ignore noise. Protect the mental environment. Your path, your pace, your power. Repeat it. Now apply to performance. Stop reacting to the performance of peers. Stop modeling every action after someone else. Stop measuring worth externally. Focus on deliberate repetition. Focus on mastery of your habits. Focus on growth according to your schedule. Your path, your pace, your power. Repeat it. Consider real examples. The startup founder who abandoned competitive metrics. The student who stopped comparing grades. The athlete who ignored other stats. They accelerated their growth. They strengthened confidence. They reclaimed focus. They executed systems without distraction. Your path, your pace, your power. Repeat it. Understand the cost of neglect. Every moment spent comparing is a moment of stolen attention. Every glance at someone else's success amplifies doubt. Every effort to emulate others' progress dilutes energy. Confidence erodes silently. Action becomes reactive instead of deliberate. Opportunity is lost. You have a choice. Focus internally or surrender your mental authority. That is the key. To systemize elimination of the comparison trap. Identify triggers. Note when comparison occurs. Recognize social, professional, or personal cues. Implement barriers. Restrict access to sources that induce comparison. Limit notifications. Avoid unnecessary metrics. Replace with internal measurement. Track only what is controlled, measurable, and deliberate. Assess completion, execution, and effort. Daily reflection. Review progress against internal goals, not external achievements. Strengthen habit of self-reliance. This system converts distraction into control. It converts doubt into focus. It converts external influence into internal authority. One practice repeated daily compounds into measurable confidence. Your path, your pace, your power. Repeat it. Remember, comparison is seductive. It promises insight, but delivers distraction. It feels informative, but is corrosive. Every external metric is borrowed. Every opinion not measured internally is noise. Discipline requires that you protect your attention. Discipline requires that you measure progress only against controlled systems. Your path, your pace, your power. Repeat it. Finally, internalize this principle. Your growth is yours. Your schedule is yours. Your authority is yours. Confidence grows when the mind is disciplined. Action strengthens when attention is protected. Progress accelerates when systems are measured internally. You have a choice. You obey external comparison, or you obey your own command. Your path, your pace, your power. Repeat it. Anchor it. Own it. In conclusion, comparison silently destroys focus and confidence. You have reclaimed your attention. You have established internal metrics. You have implemented systems that prioritize deliberate growth over external judgment. You have chosen your path, set your pace, and exercise your power. Repeat it. Protect it. Execute daily. That is your discipline. That is your method. That is your foundation. Next, you will learn how to systemize your confidence. You will convert habits, routines, and rules into predictable, unshakable self-belief. You have protected your focus. Now you will solidify it into systems. Chapter 8. Systemize your confidence. Confidence is not a feeling. It is not a mood. It is not spontaneous. Confidence is a system. It is structured. It is predictable. You have a choice. You can rely on fleeting emotion, or you can design it. That is the principle. That is the key. Most people rely on willpower. They hope motivation will appear. They wait for energy, inspiration, or external encouragement. That is weakness. That is unreliable. Systems replace hope with certainty. Systems replace variability with consistency. Systems produce results regardless of emotion. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Repeat it. Consider the military. Every action is scheduled. Every habit is reinforced. Every soldier trains predictably. Confidence is not wished for. It is earned through repeated, measurable action. Consider elite athletes. Their days are structured. Their routines are deliberate. Every skill is practiced, every motion repeated. Their mental authority is scaffolding built by rules and routines. Consider daily affirmations. Repeated reflection builds belief in ability and purpose. Systems generate predictability. Systems generate self-trust. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Understand the principle. Feelings are unreliable. Energy fluctuates. Doubt appears. Fear surfaces. Motivation fades. Systems do not. Systems act whether you feel ready or not. They build competence regardless of hesitation. They reinforce discipline regardless of fear. That is the rule. You have a choice. You act in alignment with systems, or you surrender to emotion. That is the key. Now, implement the system. Begin with 3 pillars: habits, routines, and rules. Habits. Identify small, repeated behaviors that reinforce confidence. Morning rituals, micro-achievements, journaling, affirmations. Complete them daily. Track consistency. Do not wait for desire or inspiration. Habits produce evidence. Evidence produces belief. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Routines. Design your day for deliberate action. Block focus time. Allocate periods for skill practice. Assign times for reflection and evaluation. Follow the schedule strictly. Do not negotiate. Routines convert intention into execution. Execution converts competence into certainty. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Rules. Establish boundaries that enforce discipline. Refuse distractions. Protect attention. Eliminate external dependencies for validation. Limit exposure to noise, comparison, and reactive influence. Rules produce predictability. Predictability produces self-trust. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Consider the consequences of neglect. Without systems, confidence fluctuates. Without structure, doubt dominates. Without rules, distractions erode focus. Reliance on willpower alone is fragile. One difficult day, one unexpected obstacle, one moment of fatigue can collapse belief. Systems prevent collapse. Systems ensure continuity. Systems maintain competence. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Now, focus on execution. Each morning, follow your habit sequence without debate. Each work block, follow your routine without compromise. Each decision, follow your rules without negotiation. Measure completion, not emotion. Evaluate execution, not inspiration. Confidence is the consequence. Systems are the cause. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Repeat it. Consider real-world examples. The soldier who completes drills without regard for mood. The athlete who trains daily even when tired. The entrepreneur who executes morning planning regardless of distractions. They achieve predictable growth. Their belief is unshakable. Their authority is consistent. Systems produce confidence where feelings fail. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Now, expand the system to mental training. Daily reflection. Evaluate decisions. Track progress against internal standards. Adjust procedures where necessary. Eliminate reliance on praise or approval. Replace uncertainty with measurable results. Systems convert thought into action. Systems convert action into certainty. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Understand this principle. Predictability breeds self-trust. Repetition reinforces competence. Discipline solidifies authority. Confidence does not appear randomly. It is designed, enforced, and executed. You have a choice. You rely on transient feelings, or you follow systems that guarantee growth. That is the key. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Implement today. Write your daily habits. Schedule your routines. Define your rules. Execute. Track. Reflect. Adjust. Repeat. Measurement replaces hope. Structure replaces inconsistency. Discipline replaces doubt. Confidence becomes inevitable. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Finally, internalize this. Your mind obeys structure. Your energy obeys repetition. Your confidence obeys systems. You have created the scaffolding. You have implemented the routine. You have established the rules. Daily execution solidifies belief. Daily evidence reinforces competence. Daily discipline converts uncertainty into unshakable confidence. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Repeat it. Anchor it. Own it. In conclusion, reliance on feeling alone is fragile. Habits, routines, and rules produce predictability. Systems replace hope with certainty. Systems reinforce action and evidence. Systems build internal authority. You have a choice. Execute the system or surrender confidence to fluctuating emotion. You have established the framework. Now, continue execution. You have designed unshakable self-belief. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. Systems beat willpower. That is your method. That is your discipline. That is your foundation. Next, you will learn how to face rejection as fuel, how to convert criticism, failure, and refusal into deliberate growth. Your systems are in place. Now you will transform obstacles into strength. Chapter 9. Face rejection as fuel. Rejection happens. It will happen. It will happen often. Stop taking it personally. Stop interpreting it as a verdict on your worth. That is the first principle. Rejection is not judgment. Rejection is data. Rejection is feedback. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Repeat it. Most people react to rejection with hesitation, doubt, or retreat. They personalize it. They internalize it. They allow one no to shape their belief system. That is weakness. That is inefficiency. That is wasted energy. Confidence does not collapse in the face of rejection. Confidence uses it. Confidence converts it into action, reflection, and improvement. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Consider famous inventors, CEOs, and entrepreneurs. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. Steve Jobs faced public rejection, professional setbacks, and product failures before building Apple. Every failure, every refusal, every no was a lesson. They did not internalize judgment. They internalized feedback. They analyzed, corrected, repeated. That is the rule. That is the system. That is the method. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Understand this. Each rejection contains data. Each refusal contains insight. Each failure contains instruction. You have a choice. You can react emotionally, or you can process deliberately. You can shrink, or you can grow. That is the key. Each rejection is an opportunity to refine. Each no is a chance to strengthen. Each obstacle is a signal to adjust, not surrender. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Now, implement a system for handling rejection. Step 1. Detach identity from outcome. You are not your success. You are not your failure. You are the executor of deliberate action. Step 2. Analyze objectively. What can be learned? What can be improved? What is within control? Step 3. Act again. Repeat the attempt. Adjust for lessons. Execute consistently. That is the sequence. That is the discipline. That is the command. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Consider everyday application. A project proposal denied. A pitch rejected. Feedback ignored. A conversation dismissed. These are not verdicts on character. They are instructions for refinement. Each rejection is a micro lesson in persistence, resilience, and competence. Ignore emotion. Execute feedback. Adjust strategy. Repeat. Repetition converts fear into skill. Repetition converts doubt into confidence. Repetition converts refusal into authority. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Next, examine mental patterns. Most people ruminate. They obsess over the why. They replay scenarios endlessly. That is wasted energy. That is surrendering control. Discipline requires immediate evaluation, extraction of lessons, and forward action. No dwelling, no negotiation, no internalization of judgment. Only training, only improvement, only execution. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Now, systemize the practice. Document rejections. Record every refusal, failure, or denial. Identify circumstances and outcomes. Analyze objectively. Extract actionable feedback. Separate fact from emotion. Focus on what can be controlled. Act deliberately. Apply adjustments immediately. Repeat the process without hesitation. Reflect consistently. Review progress over time. Measure improvement, not praise or approval. This system converts discomfort into competence. It converts negative feedback into predictable growth. It converts emotional reaction into strategic action. Confidence grows when rejection becomes training. Repetition compounds resilience. Action converts failure into authority. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Consider the person who avoids rejection. They seek comfort. They minimize exposure. They limit effort. Their confidence stagnates. Their progress is slow. Their authority is fragile. Compare this to the person who welcomes rejection. They act under fear. They extract lessons. They repeat deliberately. Their competence accumulates. Their confidence strengthens. Their authority becomes unshakable. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Do not mistake difficulty for failure. A single rejection does not define trajectory. It defines adjustment. It defines information. It defines opportunity. Discipline requires using every refusal as fuel. Discipline requires acting consistently despite discomfort. Discipline requires repetition until response becomes instinctive. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Finally, internalize this principle. Your worth is independent of approval. Your value is independent of agreement. Your progress is determined by action and reflection, not by the judgment of others. Each rejection, when processed deliberately, compounds into competence. Each refusal, when acted upon intelligently, compounds into resilience. Each obstacle, when executed through systematically, compounds into confidence. Rejection is not a verdict. Rejection is not failure. Rejection is training. Repetition converts refusal into authority. You have a choice. You act or you shrink. You process or you succumb. You train or you stagnate. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Anchor it. Own it. In conclusion, rejection is inevitable. Confidence does not eliminate rejection. Confidence converts it into fuel. Daily discipline practice transforms denial into growth. Systems of analysis, adjustment, and repetition convert obstacles into authority. You have a choice. You face rejection, or you are diminished by it. You execute, or you surrender. You measure internally, act deliberately, and repeat consistently. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. Rejection is training. That is your method. That is your discipline. That is your foundation. Next, you will learn how to maintain momentum indefinitely, how to sustain growth, confidence, and focus even when challenges accumulate. You have mastered courage and resilience. Now you will systemize endurance. Chapter 10. Become your own authority. You have learned discipline. You have trained your mind. You have reclaimed focus. You have built courage. You have systemized confidence. Now comes the final step. Stop waiting for permission. Stop listening to doubt. Stop deferring to others. Own your decisions. That is the principle. That is the rule. That is the system. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Repeat it. Most people seek guidance endlessly. They wait for approval. They look for signs. They ask for reassurance. That is weakness. That is dependence. That is delay. Self-made leaders do not wait. They trust themselves when no one else does. They act on principles, rules, and systems, not on approval or emotion. You have a choice. You follow or you lead. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Consider the person who hesitates at every decision. Every choice is filtered through doubt. Every action requires external validation. Every day, opportunity passes. Every moment, energy is surrendered. Now consider the person who trusts themselves. They analyze, decide, and execute. They measure results internally. They refine through experience. Their confidence is unshakable. Their authority is internal. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Repeat it. Understand the principle. Authority begins internally. Confidence begins internally. Competence begins internally. If you cannot trust your own decisions, you rely on others' judgment. That is fragile. That is inconsistent. That is borrowed power. When you lead yourself, you own your choices. You own your results. You own your growth. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Now, systemize leadership of self. Decision framework. For every choice, define criteria. Measure options by internal standards, not external opinions. Act decisively. Immediate execution. Avoid hesitation. Trust the process. Commit to action. Measure outcomes. Adjust systems as needed. Reflection. Daily review. Identify decisions made correctly and those requiring refinement. Do not judge yourself. Improve. Consistency. Leadership of self is continuous. Repetition compounds authority. Daily practice trains trust in your own judgment. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Consider real-world examples. Self-made leaders, entrepreneurs, innovators, and creators act when uncertain. They take risks without external reassurance. They rely on internal standards and deliberate processes. They move when others hesitate. They achieve results because they lead themselves, not because they waited for approval. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Examine the cost of neglect. Hesitation leads to wasted time. Reliance on approval leads to diluted confidence. Waiting for permission leads to lost opportunities. Doubt, unchecked, grows exponentially. Momentum collapses. Competence stagnates. Action becomes reactive. Leadership is never external. It begins with yourself. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Now, implement the system immediately. For every decision today, pause. Identify your internal criteria. Decide deliberately. Execute without waiting for confirmation. Record the result. Adjust systems, not emotions. This system converts hesitation into decisiveness. It converts dependence into independence. It converts uncertainty into authority. Every decision executed under your own command strengthens confidence. Every success compounds trust. Every refinement builds unshakable internal authority. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Consider daily practice. Morning. Set priorities based on internal rules. Execute without consultation. Midday. Review decisions made. Adjust approach. Avoid second-guessing. Evening. Reflect on alignment with internal authority. Reinforce successful patterns. Leadership of self is continuous. It is iterative. It is measurable. It is predictable. No one gives it to you. No one validates it. You create it. You enforce it. You refine it. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Finally, internalize this principle. Your growth, your focus, your confidence, and your results are products of your own authority. You have trained your mind. You have built courage. You have systemized competence. You have reclaimed focus. You have faced rejection. Now you own it. Every decision, every action, every step is yours. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Anchor it. Own it. In conclusion, self-belief is self-created. Authority is self-enforced. Confidence is self-sourced. You do not wait. You do not rely. You do not negotiate. You act decisively, consistently, and deliberately. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Let yourself first. Your systems, your discipline, your training, all converge here. You are your own authority. Your confidence is unshakable. Your growth is inevitable. And now, if you're ready to continue this process daily, to reinforce these systems, and to never rely on external approval again, subscribe to this channel. Commit to daily growth. Join a community where self-discipline and unshakable confidence are taught and reinforced. Systems work when repeated. Let yourself first, and let this channel guide you in executing the framework consistently.